Okay, 2018 said, trihalomethanes are organic molecules in which three of the hydrogen atoms of methane, blah, 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 is a colorless liquid with a high vapor pressure. Explain what is meant by high vapor pressure. This is no longer a part of your course. No longer in course. But since it's tested here, I'll tell you what it is, but it's not part of your course, so you won't be asked anytime soon to explain it. Basically, vapor pressure is the pressure exerted by a vapor. See, vapor pressure is the pressure exerted by a vapor with its liquid or solid form when it's present at equilibrium, right? So in an equilibrium, or when it's present in a closed container, vapor pressure is the pressure exerted by the vapor, which is basically the gaseous form of that particular substance, and with what? With its liquid or solid form, right? So there can be a liquid present with a gas, and there can be a solid present with a gas, and the pressure that that gas would exert in an equilibrium, in the state of an equilibrium in a closed container, that's basically called vapor pressure. But we don't need to go into the detail for it. And high vapor pressure means that at equilibrium, for example, if this is a liquid and this is a gas, or maybe this is a solid and this is a gas, at the high vapor pressure basically means that you have more, the equilibrium constant lies more towards the right, you have more gas particles. That's what high vapor pressure means. You have more gas particles compared to the solid or the liquid counterpart, which also means that these particles therefore would exert more pressure because you have more vapors. More vapors mean more vapor pressure. So that's what high means in high vapor pressure, that you have more vapors which would exert pressure right here, right, in an equilibrium. So what I'm going to tell the examiner here, that vapor pressure is basically pressure exerted by gas particles, which is effectively my vapor, in what? In an equilibrium with what? In an equilibrium with either solid or liquid, with liquid state or solid state. It's basically an equilibrium with its own liquid state or solid state. It doesn't really make a difference. And what this high means is, high means that there's basically greater proportion of gas particles compared to the liquid or solid particles, right? And because it's liquid, so I'm just going to talk about liquid. So high means that there's greater proportion of gas particles versus its liquid particles at equilibrium. That's what it means. And it can also be versus with solid particles, but because he's talking about liquid with a high vapor pressure, that's why I'm just stating liquid. It can be solid or liquid, doesn't really make a difference. Done. Now, next question says, the graph shows the relationship between PV and P at a given temperature for CHF3 and ideal gas. Good stuff. And you see here, initially there's a dip, and you know why there's a dip initially, and then it increases. At lower pressure there's a dip because the particle size is insignificant, and therefore the attractive forces dominate. So if the attractive forces, and I've explained this in quite a lot of detail, if the attractive forces dominate, what happens? That the pressure exerted by this real gas will obviously decrease. So the PV of real gas is lower compared to the PV of ideal gas, because the IMF, the attractive forces, the attractive IMF basically pulls these particles towards itself, and the pressure that it exerts on the walls of the container obviously decreases. That's why you see a dip right here. But at higher pressures, what happens? At higher pressures, the particle size is basically significant. Right? The particles are closer together. The particle size is significant compared to the volume of the container. Right? The particle volume is significant compared to the volume of the container. And we know that the repulsive forces dominate. The repulsive forces between the particles dominate. Here the attractive forces dominate. Here the repulsive forces dominate. And we've discussed this in quite a lot of detail in our live class. So I think still 3 basic assumptions. Now the examiner will never ask 3. He'll always ask 2, because 2 are a part of your course, which is what? 0 particle volume. 3 assumptions of ideal gas is 0 particle volume, and no IMF. And the third one, you could write whatever, you could write that, hey, all collisions are perfectly elastic, gas obeys all basic gas laws, ideal gas behaves, obeys all basic gas laws, and all of that stuff. I just say all collisions are perfectly elastic, which means no losses. Done. So you could write any of it. Now it's only two which are a part of your course. Explain why CHF3 deviates from the properties of an ideal gas at pressures greater than 300 atm. So if you look at pressures greater than 300 atm, you know why it acts less like an ideal gas and deviates more from it, because the idea is pretty simple. When you increase the pressure, particles are so close together that first of all the particle size becomes significant, and second of all the intermolecular forces become significant, aka the repulsive forces between particles dominate, right? They become more significant. I'm going to say, hey, particles at high pressures, particles are so close to each other, to each other that the particle volume is no longer negligible. Versus the volume of the container, number one. And number two, that the IMF, or the repulsive forces between particles, now because they are so close together, the repulsive forces between particles, they dominate, or you could say they are more significant, and thus it deviates more. That's it. We've discussed the repulsive forces and attractive forces idea through graphs in our live class. And so we're done with 2018. There were no questions tested in 2017, 2016, and then there are a couple tested in 2015, and we're done with all the topic-wise questions for states of matter.